My name is Stephen Shang. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Falcon Structures. We build workspaces and living spaces using repurposed shipping containers, and we've been in business since 2003. I think one of the critical things that we may overlook is really the mental health of the leader and the overall health for that matter. I think a lot of times as leaders, we think that, we are Superman or Superwoman and that we're indestructible. And the fact of the matter is we're not. The reason I know that is when we're going through the Great Recession, that happened to me, right? I was just pushing it way too hard for way too long and just broke down. And when I broke down, I wasn't any good to anybody, not to the business, not to the family, and all that. So it was important to me coming into this to really, really take care of mental health. And so what does that look like? Is connecting with other leaders. And so I'm a member in YPO, and we have a forum, which is about 10 people. And in that, it's a completely confidential setting. And we've been meeting for years, so we have the structure. But instead of meeting once a month, we meet every Tuesday night from 8 o'clock, when the kids go to bed, to 9 o'clock. And we go around the horn and we talk about, what's going on in our world, the highs and the lows. And so having that weekly rhythm, I look forward to that call every week. And the other thing is the physical health. I mean, that's critical, especially now that we work from home more. What do we do to take care of our bodies? Because ultimately that's feeding our minds. And so, eating well, eating healthy, that's been critical. Spending some time every day just to do some form of exercise. And that might even mean in the middle of the workday, getting up from the computer and going for a 30-minute walk. I would say the last one has been to really, and this is a mantra we talk about at Falcon, to be aware of what's happening, but not to focus on what's happening as far as kind of the pandemic goes. So I find that, the best times for me from a mental health standpoint is when I stay away from the news. There's no right or wrong culture, but it's a set of values that's really consistent when you bring everyone together. And that's really what kind of causes them to stick together. Gallup did a study on kind of worker satisfaction, and it wasn't how much people got paid. That was probably fourth on the list. But the number one reason was a feeling that they belonged, that they actually fit in the organization. So you could be making, 2 times your current salary, but working in a place where you just totally didn't fit. And chances are after a few months, after a few years, you would turn over and go somewhere else. And so I think, this concept of culture is really what holds people together. And if you have a strong culture, if you have a strong identity, right, I think as you go through this pandemic, one of the big things about this pandemic has been people are working more remotely, and there's definitely a lot more distance between people. And so if you have a culture that you can fall back on and say, hey, look, we may be apart, but we still have these bonds that we formed before all this hit, well, then I think you're going to get through that. At first, I didn't take it very seriously, and then that definitely kind of went to the entire other extreme where it was like, oh my gosh, this is the end of the world as we know it. So I think I spent a lot of cycles on, how long will this take and how bad will it get? And so what I wish I would have done differently, or what I wish the conclusion I would have arrived at more quickly, is to come to the conclusion that, look, I'm going to focus on the things I can control, and that's where we're going to build our plans around. I'll go back to where we started with this whole video. We don't profess to have all the answers, but you know what? I think there's a nugget in that statement that I would use as a tip. Nobody knows your business as well as you. And so if you keep looking to the outside for the answers, it almost seems like it's you're selling yourself short. Because I think as manufacturing leaders, a lot of times, actually most of the time, the answers that we're looking for are either within us or within our organizations. And I think that's where the hard work is done. And that's where you need a little bit of confidence. But I guess my tip for you is you do have the answer. You know your organization, you know your manufacturing plant better better than anyone else out there. How do you take the time to actually think in a crisis to find the answer you're looking for?